Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of History You Didn't Know But Should. I'm Ray.
And I'm Chris.
Chris, sometimes it's the little things in life that make the biggest difference in life that we don't really realize till later on. And when I think about things in my childhood, and I'm sure you as well, we're about the same age, um, it's putt putt. Putt putt golfing games is what they used to be called. Now I think they've got a slightly different name, but going to a putt putt and putting around, I guess you could say, whether it was an isolated putt putt. A lot of them, of course, had the arcade or at the lake or the beach or whatever, and it was just a good time. And I think taking an episode to look at putt putt, especially when it's a local North Carolina business is something that we should do. So here we are.
That was a great segue right
I
there. I
know.
just want to
That's
say thank you
great.
so much. Here we are. So let's stop putt-putting around and get to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I do remember my very first birthday party. When I was a child, I remember it being at a putt-putt. I remember vacations, and that one of the things you would do at a vacation would be go play putt-putt. And while putt-putt has evolved, the founding of putt-putt has a very interesting story, and it's also something that is still a well-known tradition. But not only is it a tradition for families or for individuals, but also it has become a multi-million dollar skill-based game that has star athletes as they compete in a professional putters association. So this is something that is on the same lines of basketball and football and baseball, and where it is available for anyone at any time to participate in. You can do it for the love of the game, or you can do it to try to compete. And so, Ray, it is a local thing. It is a North Carolina thing, but it's also a worldwide, just fun thing to do because anyone at any age just enjoys being able to put a ball on the mat with a club and trying to get that elusive hole in one.
Yeah. I've embarrassed myself a few times at a putt putt and
Well, you just embarrass yourself pretty much even going to the grocery store. So, I mean,
I do.
so, but if you
I,
think about it, we all have stories
yeah.
about our putt putt adventures. And, I mean,
Listen,
it can be hard nosed competition, but also, I remember that there were times where you would see how far you could hit it too. And, there would be
that's
the
what I
little
did. I got up to the thing.
mischievous.
I got up to the thing and just whacked it as hard as I could. And apparently that's not the purpose of the game. So anyway, it's 1954 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is where I was born. You were born in Virginia, right?
That's right.
I was born in good old Fayetteville, North Carolina. And there's a guy named Don Clayton. And Don Clayton was an insurance salesman. And I guess he was stressing out, having a really difficult time making as an insurance salesman. And he goes to the doctor, and the doctor tells him, look, if you don't take some time off, if you don't take it easy, you're not going to be here much longer. You're going to have a breakdown, your heart's going to give out. Something's going to happen if you don't take it easy. So he steps out of the insurance salesman business. He and his father, they put together the first golf course, this first miniature golf course, at least theirs. And I think it cost them almost like $6,000 to do. And literally, just 2, 3 years later, there's over 100 of these golf courses. And originally, it was called Shady Vale Golf, but they couldn't figure out how to properly spell Vale. So somebody mentioned Putt Putt, and that's how Putt Putt came along. So he got out of the insurance business and got into the putt putt business.
And what's fascinating to me is that, this is not a concept that he dreamed up, but what he wanted to do was to revise that, what he had saw, because I think he had gone to a golf course, a miniature golf course, and you had to hit the ball through these spokes and spikes and wind fields and water fields, and it was like, this is basically junk. I could do better than this. And what's fascinating to me is that he created like 18 holes. He
Mhm.
designed, dreamed up these 18 holes. It took like $100, found some dirt cheap land.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, overnight, he's creating a miniature golf course
Mhm.
that will establish the Professional Putters Association, PPA, and he is now just doing phenomenal things. And I am, when we start thinking about the price of eggs today, it's also interesting that he charged people a quarter
Mhm.
to play one round of putt putt golf, which is cheap today. But also, it was just that. What did he say? It was all frills, no skills, I think was his little motto that he had for it, which was just a form of entertainment for families to go and to be a part of and to do things. But he did not like one of the things I found interesting because putt putt looks different in so many ways. You can go down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and
Mhm.
you hit it through an airplane or you hit it through these just animals, contraptions. It's like an experience. And he didn't see it as an experience. He wanted it to be competition. He wanted it to be a game. You didn't have to have skill, but he didn't want the frills. He didn't want the foofy stuff. And it's fascinating to me that what he does is, he gets some concrete, pour some concrete, get some 2x4s that are aluminum, and he creates an experience that is still in existence today. And on the first night, it said that 192 people showed up to play golf on
Mhm.
his first putt putt. And then what happens is he's able to pay off the whole cost of the site. What in like I think it was like a month, right?
Yeah, it was quick. Yeah, I mean,
Fascinating.
it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, he stumbled across this gold mine idea, and like you said, Chris, he didn't invent the idea of miniature golf. That was actually also invented in North Carolina at Pinehurst. That's where the whole thing got started. He just sort of took it and made it his version. As you were talking about the way he went to these miniature golf places and they had windmills or they had these ramps or whatever it was. He didn't want any of that. He didn't want something that was going to throw the ball off the course or throw a person out of their game. He designed his miniature golf to be 18 holes, 18 par two holes. And my understanding is that means that a person should be able to knock it in the hole within two strokes. So he's not trying to create something it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a challenge, but he's not trying to create something that's going to try to undermine the players. He's trying to create something that, like you said, you can use skill, you can use strategy with the way they lay out the way he laid out the borders and things like that around where the ball would hit and bounce off and things like that. So you put a lot of thought into it, and it just like you said, it just absolutely exploded for him, and good for him.
Well, it's good for him. And I sit back and I read his story and I think, why can't I be like ingenious like that? Why can't I come up with these ideas? I mean, something like a golf course, a putt putt golf course, or the spork that you get, all of these things that we enjoy and we wish, man, if I would have come up with that, my
Yeah.
life would be a whole lot different than it is today. Because, after 29 days of all these people coming and playing the course, people then began to say, I want this in my neck of the woods. I want this in my area. And, pretty much the South became, a putt putt craze as, originally he started giving people who were interested, somebody would come play his course and say, man, this is a great idea. I'd love to start one, in Georgia. And
Mhm.
he would send them the blueprints for free. He would just give them all of the information and say, sure, go ahead, do it. All I ask is you kind of keep it to my standards, but go ahead and do it. And then he started realizing, oh, I need to copyright this. I need to patent this
You make money.
because people are going to steal my ideas. And so he patents it, and then he begins charging. Originally, it's only like $250, to charge to get the blueprints into things of that nature. And then, he realizes it's a great investment. And so, we start to see that there is this craze that begins to take place. And you have just interest rapidly increasing. You've got courses growing up everywhere. And then it even moves out from a par two there are some par three courses, and those par three courses are a little more elaborate. Some of them would include sand, or they would include water, or different things of that nature. It wouldn't necessarily be the artificial turf, but they would put in, it's a different type of grass. So this idea is really, really caught on. But what I think is really fascinating is he found a way to start tournaments, just local tournaments of people doing brackets, because Ray, all of us are competitive in nature. So, when you start competing and then competing for prizes, well, he's got an association that develops. And I remember, maybe you do too, that on Saturday mornings, one of the things that I would watch was putt putt. It was televised, nationally televised. And I think there was a college basketball announcer, Billy Packer, who was a very well-known college basketball announcer for the ACC and others. And he would even broadcast some putt-putt TV events.
So I've never heard of this. This is new to me. They televised putt-putt?
Yes, and they're still televising putt-putt. They have major tournaments. I think it's gotten on ESPN or some other things. But yes, you could do, and people will watch. And Ray, it is fascinating because kids stay in school and do your math, because they use science and math to structure the way that you hit the angle of the board, because concrete's not 100% level and there's dips and all that in it. And so you have to be scientific in the way that you hit the ball to make it. You can't just hit the ball straight and expect it to go in the hole. If you notice the way that these players play, I'm like a nerd when it comes to putt putt. You start to see that they hit the boards at angles and they do all of these really cool things to try to score. So people can YouTube putt 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 Golf Association on YouTube, and you will find some of those tournaments.
I can honestly say I've never heard of that. I did not know they televised putt putt. I'd heard about tournaments. I knew that people did that, but for me, growing up, putt putt was where you went when you were on vacation. We'd go to the beach or somewhere, and there would be a putt putt there, and you would go to that putt putt. So that's my only real experience with putt putt. I never did a tournament in putt putt or anything like that.
Yes,
that would have
you
been.
could see and go back. I just pulled up a quick YouTube while we were talking. I
Uh,
can go and watch the 2014 Putt Putt Championship
wow.
is there. And when you click on it and you start looking at all of those things that are there, I mean, Ray, it here's a quote from somebody, and I know this is deep in the woods, but a guy said, back in the 1960s, there was a real putt putt, a 15-minute bike ride from my home. Saturday mornings, $1, unlimited play for 3 hours, plus a Coke and a paper cup.
Yep.
Great times they were.
Well, it
And
sort of for me, putt putt was like, I remember we had skating rinks, roller rinks, and you'd go there and you would pay an admission, and then they had an arcade in there, and you would go play a game at the arcade, or you would go to the movie theater or something like that. Those are the things I remember and sort of associating the same category with putt putt, because a lot of times you would go to a putt putt and there would be arcade games, there would be different things like that associated with it, which was actually part of their business model, not just simply the tournaments, but also putting other things around it, the arcade, the ride, amusement rides, whatever it may be, putting those around the putt putt. And then, let me see if I can find it here, where they had talked about like go-karts, bumper boats, arcades, laser tags, and putting those things with the putt putt. So it was more than just simply, you know, doing miniature golf. There was also other things to do. That's sort of my memory of putt putt.
There was the finals of the 1976 championship. It offered a purse of $10,000 to the winner. There were 256 people in the field. There were 70 million viewers around the world who watched it. It stated that in 1991, Putt Putt's syndicated coverage of the tour was the second longest running sports program on television, just behind ABC's Wild World of Sports. See how important it is.
That's history you didn't know, but should, because I certainly didn't know that.
Well, and so one of the things that I remembered about it, I told earlier, you can't just hit it straight, because they're one of their jingles or whatever was that you had to have the skill of a pool player along with, the touch of a golf putter. And Ray, they had the hats, they had golf shirts, you had to wear specific outfits to go and play. You were sponsored. It was big time stuff.
I didn't know that.
And nowadays, I think that it kind of waned off kind of in the 2000s, early in the 2000s. They went to some other things, but I think, we're here in a popular summer destination, and there are people that still come to our location, and there's a putt-putt course, and you'll see them out there from dawn to dusk playing putt-putt.
And they may have tournaments there, do they? Do you know?
They do. They do have tournaments that are there. I think it's been a couple years since they had one, but I want to say that when I heard it, I was like, "Ooh, I want to be a part of it." And I went up there and watched them. Now, Ray, most of them are in their 70s now, or they're older people. And I say that like that's old, but you and I, we're slowly getting there.
Watch it.
Yes. But I watched them, and they are so focused. I mean, it's like the masters of the golf world playing in these tournaments. So all mad respect to these professional golfers who strive to go out every day and to make it. I don't think that I would be so successful, because I would always get so upset because they would have this one hole that would have water on it, and you had to hit it across a little narrow drag strip or whatever. And it was so uneven that your ball would go in the water every time. I mean, you just get frustrated and then pull a ray and you'd hit it to the other side of the.
Yeah, golf is in any form not my thing. Not my thing. I think that's fair. I did take golf when I was in university, but I passed because the professor was gracious. So anyway, going back to the 1990s and Don Clayton, he passed away in 1996. He was living in Fayetteville when he passed away. And a guy called David Callahan, also from Fayetteville, took over the business. And nowadays, here in 2025, Putt Putt is located in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So it remains a North Carolina business, even though it is now, I guess it's worldwide now. Putt Putt Golf and Games are now what they're calling Putt Putt Fun Center. And Chris, I will tell you a story. In the 90s, I worked for several video stores, and one of them was in Fayetteville. Okay. And there was this guy who would come in there, and I didn't know who he was or anything like that. And someone told me, this was the first time that I knew that Putt Putt was starting in Fayetteville. They said that was a guy who started Putt Putt. So I'm assuming it was this Don Clayton guy. I don't know, but someone told me that was a guy who started Putt Putt. So I may have actually rented a movie to the man. I don't know.
Wow. What a story. What a moment.
Absolutely useless.
And you had no idea of who he was, and he had no idea who you were. No. And look what's happened to both of y'all. He is the creator of Putt Putt Golfers International, and you are the host of an amazing podcast heard all across the world. I mean, how great is this?
The legacy continues.
Living legends.
Well, living legends. He died in 1996.
And one of the things that was fascinating about him is,
I might
we
have a
talked about
skill. I
this
don't know.
a little bit, is he didn't like the elephants and the
Right.
giraffes, and he didn't like all of that stuff. After he passed away, they started incorporating those just as motifs, just as
Mhm.
designs. But if you still go to one of his putt putts today, it's the orange borders, it's the green mat, it's the simple things. There are obstacles, but there's no other.
And I think, Chris, I think in all seriousness, the original one is still there. I think I could be wrong. Um, is the original one the one on Bragg Boulevard?
I don't know, but
I
I
think
can tell
that's
you
the original, or it was the original.
that
Or
you can still own a Putt Putt Golf Center if you want. You can become a franchise owner of a golf Putt Putt Golf as long as you have a net worth of $1 million and you've got $200,000 cash that you can invest. So guess what? You and I will not be doing.
Putt Putt.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I was right. The Putt Putt on Bragg Boulevard is the first.
And for our listeners, Bragg Boulevard is still in Fayetteville, North
It's
Carolina. And
is it hadn't moved.
so if you're looking at a unique place you want to go, if you want to say that you've been to the original Putt Putt, then you go on down to Bragg Boulevard in Fayetteville and to play around on the course that Mr. Clayton built and that Ray rented a movie to. Somebody will put in their comments about this podcast episode. So
Yep.
thankful to know that Ray was a video
That-
store.
that's as close to an important person as I've ever been. So,
Hey, and you know that this was Putt Putt was so big that President Carter made a special trip and went and played around the Putt Putt in Georgia.
no, no, I
There's
didn't.
pictures on the Putt Putt website of Carter playing Putt Putt golf.
Wow, that's
I,
impressive. That's good. I mean, that it's a we're sort of making light of it a little bit, but if you think about it, um, Don Clayton, brilliant, absolutely brilliant businessman, has to step away from his insurance uh job for health reasons, create him and his father create this what I'm assuming they thought would just be a small thing. And now look at where it is today. And when he passed away, he was literally a millionaire. I mean, that's absolutely a genius, so
yeah, I mean, I like I said, I mean, it grabbed the attention of politicians, but also everybody has played. Not everybody, but the majority of people have played a game of putt putt
miniature
somehow,
golf,
somewhat.
maybe not putt putt itself, but maybe miniature golf,
Miniature golf.
you know.
And to the point now where there is miniature golf on apps, miniature
Yeah.
golf computer games. It's just a craze and it's a fun little thing. All frills, no skills. And, I think it would be interesting, to maybe get you out there on a putt putt golf course and show our listeners your skills of
Our
sports.
No, this is no longer history we didn't know but should. This is Pick on Ray show.
But it's what a
It would be
fabulous concept.
It would be entertaining, that's for sure. Well, I hope our listeners have enjoyed this slightly different episode. We don't want to constantly be doing, very serious episodes or political episodes and stuff like that. Sometimes we like to step away and do something slightly different. So please share this podcast with your family and friends so they can have happiness or at least a laugh. And go back and listen to our previous episodes where we talk about a lot of very important issues related to American presidents and important issues in American history. Until then, I'm Ray.
I'm Chris.
Talk to you later.